Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Disclosure Day by Steven Spielberg. Okay, first I want to talk about the trailer of the movie. Um, I love the trailer. I feel like the trailer for this movie is exactly how a trailer should be done. I first saw the trailer when I went to see Obsession. Mind you, I think so far my favorite movie of 2026. And based on the trailer, that's why I wanted to see the movie. I think the trailer was really captivating. It didn't give too much of the movie away, which I do think a lot of movies tend to do sometimes, but this trailer was very captivating. When I did see the movie, however, my opinion shifted. It wasn't terrible, but it did shift, and that is why we're here today. Okay, so the first point I want to make, and the reason why I want to make this point is because of his own words for the movie. So in his promotional features, he said that this is the 100-meter sprint. And this draws a comparison to some of the works that he's worked on early on, such as Indiana Jones. So the whole premise, I think, of Indiana Jones, not really the entire, but one of the main things about Indiana Jones that a lot of people love is the running, the endless running, the crazy scenes that just, they're very comical. You laugh, you like them. And I think that this movie draws a very similar comparison to Indiana Jones, where we see all this running, all this endless running, but also like Indiana Jones, there's just scenes that do not make sense. I want to say this because, for example, the movie is trying to have more of a logical feel to it. It's trying to say this is a corrupt world and we're bringing highlight to many of the things that people don't know about. Fine, fair, but it's if you want to draw this logical comparison, you can't have certain things and think, oh, that just makes sense. Someone's gonna have their car crash into a train and jump on a train in the nick of time before the other train hits them. Stuff like that just doesn't make sense. Another thing in the movie, moving away from that idea of the sprint, is the idea that when Daniel, okay, so there's this house. He and Mary are at the house, and the agencies or the bad guys come to retrieve them from the house, and he's trying to steal a car. How is it possible that there's over 20 men trying to their whole goal is to catch him, and nobody sees him walk and get into the car? That's just one thing to me that just didn't make sense. I think that he fails in trying to deliver this very impactful scene because a lot of it, again, I've probably said this way too many times, but a lot of it just didn't make sense. So I forgot to mention this. So something else that I thought, going back to the scene where he gets into the car, so we see that Vortex has this very advanced technology. When they had Jane in the chair and he's trying to piece together where they are, he's able to find where they are with just a little bit of things. She's I drove past a church and they're church up west, blah blah blah, and she's we made a left, there's a river, you know what I mean, stuff like that. Excuse me, shit, I'm gonna be found. And you're telling me that you guys have all these high-end technology that you can zoom in for satellite and see where the house is, where they are, and you don't see this man trying to steal the car? I don't know. Maybe it's possible. Maybe it's just me. Maybe, hey, just, think about that. Okay. Next, I want to talk about Jane and her past. And maybe my opinion of this is not well formed, but I think the fact that Jane was a former nun was not well executed. And the reason why I say this is because the way it came off to me is that they made this very small, actually not even small, it's big. Jane was a former nun, and I think the whole importance of this fact is leading up to the point where she calls her sister and basically is saying, what if the world is not ready to learn of the existence of an alternate, a different being, only for her sister to deliver the lines, which is supposed to be very, very powerful, something along the lines of, he didn't make this world for just us, and the world was made for multiple people or multiple creatures to exist at once. Which, you know what, the line is good, fine, whatever, but I'm all of this for that? Because aside from that, I just don't think her backstory of being a nun was very impactful. I'm very open to hearing other opinions. That's fine. I want to talk about Daniel and his poor choices and how they just don't make sense to me, at least. When it is established that Jane can be controlled by Noah. Daniel finds out because Jane tells him, she's like, hey, it's too dangerous to have me around. He's like, no, blah, blah, like, I love you too much. We're still gonna go through this. And like, he'll take extreme measures to like, make her not like find out where he is. Um, and they get to the hotel scene. He like locks her up. He does everything right, but then that one piece of paper. I mean, there has to be something. But I think what in this scene to me, I guess, just didn't sit right was that Daniel realizes that he's gonna get caught, and instead of letting Jane be caught, which I mean, I get it, love, anything for love. But instead of letting Jane be caught, which I would think would be the logical choice because we found out that Jane can be controlled by Noah, he gets caught. And then not only does he like allow Jane to escape and him, he gets caught, he gives the artifact to Jane, which again I think was weird because if I am Noah and I'm in this big evil organization and I catch Daniel and he's like, where's Jane? My first thought would be to control Jane again and be like, Jane, where are you? Like, do you have the artifact? Because clearly at this point he doesn't have it. Who else do you think is gonna have it? Jane, obviously. I would control Jane like he's done in the past. Granted, like you can argue that using the artifact to control Jane takes a terrible toll on him, but we've seen him do it multiple times. At this point, he doesn't care. Homie's gonna do it. I would control Jane, find out where she is, find out if she has the artifact, and get the artifact. That's what I think, but I could be wrong. But instead, we see that he sacrifices himself for Jane, which in the name of love, and he gets caught, and I guess whatever. Anywho, Margaret finds him and saves him. Another thing I want to talk about is clearly based on how the movie is going, we can see that Daniel has love for Jane. And I say this because several times this girl almost got him killed and eventually does get him kidnapped. Well, not kidnapped, but like caught, and he doesn't leave her. But I personally don't feel that love that they have for one another. And I mean, aside from the part where she's like, I'm going to, after he like drops her off, she's like, no, I'm going to come with you, fine, whatever. But to me, I feel like Daniel and Margaret almost have more of a, listen, that scene when they first meet is like magical. They're like looking at each other. It's like intense emotions. They're like, oh my God, I know you. And he's like looking at her. I almost felt that she was his lover, but that's just how it came off to me. I just felt like Jane and Daniel's love could have been maybe worked out a little bit more. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Yeah. Okay. I'm almost coming to the conclusion of this video. So the next thing I want to talk about is the subordinate that doesn't listen. And I think we tend to see this in a lot of movies where the main lead, he gets a little bit too soft, and then his subordinate is kind of just like, if you're gonna be this way, I'm gonna take charge, which is like fine. So there's a scene where Margaret comes and she frees Daniel from Noah because Noah is like, let him go. Okay, whatever. Then we see the subordinate is like, you're just gonna let them leave? So he like runs after them, and that's when we get to the crazy train scene. He runs after them, doesn't listen. Fine, okay, whatever. But where that, I guess, kind of falls short of just like, I don't know, is when we get to the scene where they're at the news station and they like, Margaret's about to get on air, but before that even happens, they cut the lights, everything's done, and then Noah and his team comes into the room, and Noah just stands there, Margaret stands there, and they're just staring at each other. And then Noah just kind of just backs up. He's just kind of like, you know what? I'm done. Which is weird because it's like, why now? Why in that moment? And then the subordinate who was not listening before suddenly has a change of heart and wants to listen now. And he's like, I'm done. And he walks out. I don't know. I just felt like that just didn't live up to how his character acted in the beginning of the movie, where he was all for, you know what, if you can't do it, I'll do it. If you're not strong enough, I'll be the one who's strong enough. Suddenly to get to the scene where this is the final instance where they can actually not make them win, and he just like decides, you know what, I'm gonna listen today. You don't want to pursue this any further, I'm gonna walk out. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So now get into pretty much the conclusion of the movie. We finally get to the point where we tell people what has been going on because this is disclosure day, and we get this, the films being like the tapes just running and running and running, and we just see everybody being all emotional and people crying and they're just like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't want to sound mean, but obviously if you're seeing people abused, you will feel emotional. Um, I just feel like when I saw this scene, we get all this tape being rolled with no context, no anything to it, and suddenly people are just sad and crying and just like overwhelmed by emotion, which I think just didn't really deliver as much as good as it was supposed to deliver. I think it lacked a lot of like context. I just felt like, even like the news anchor when she was telling the story, she's like, even from the get-go when the clip first like started rolling, she was already tearful, she was already crying and stuff, which is like everybody's different, everybody responds to things differently. It just seemed too soon, and then we don't get any context about anything. I feel like if I am watching this personally, and it's hard to actually know how you would react if you're not in the actual situation, you can just assume. I would think maybe if I'm watching this, my emotions would be some sadness, obviously, because seeing anything tortured is just terrible, but also like fear in a sense. Like, what exactly is that, But then also, I just have like so many questions as well. Did these things hurt other people? Not saying that it's like a justification or anything, but just like the emotions that we got from everyone was initial confusion, but that confusion was completely erased with just sadness only and nothing else. Which is why I just feel like the scene just didn't deliver as strongly as it was supposed to deliver. Okay, so finally coming to the conclusion, should you watch this movie? Yes, 100%. I think every movie deserves a fair chance. I feel like one person's opinion is not going to be the opinion of everyone, and everyone should be able to formulate their own opinion. Was the movie my favorite movie? No, it wasn't, but that's okay. Some people love that kind of movies. Some people love like the way the movie was like designed and how it was like executed, and that's okay. And I think you should watch it. I think it deserves a watch. It wasn't my favorite movie. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this. Okay, guys, so thank you for watching today's video. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think. I definitely want to get into the discussion. I want to know what everybody else has to think about this movie, and also my other videos as well. I will see you guys in my next video. My next video, I still haven't decided what I'm gonna review yet. I have like watched a couple movies that, I'm just weighing the options. I will be seeing a movie next week, which I just might, depending on how good it is, because I don't know. Depending on how good it is, I might review it, but you know what? You guys will know when my video comes out. But yeah, thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you guys in my next video.